Welcome, friends and warriors, to another episode of Power Over Pink. I am your host and breast cancer survivor, Tara Cam. On my channel, I love to highlight warrior stories of women and men who have faced breast cancer and are facing breast cancer and just have them tell their stories. So I'm so excited to bring to you my new friend, Jenn Glover. Welcome to the channel, Jenn.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jenn and I met most of the ones that we're doing online. It was the event that I did in Atlanta. I was a vendor at the Young Survivor Coalition, and I got to meet some of the most incredible warriors like Jenn, and she signed up to tell her story. So, Jenn, tell me a little bit about yourself, and we'll get into your story.
So I was diagnosed when I was 39. I was diagnosed metastatic, just right out the gate. It's de novo. I had no history, no family history, no genetic markers. I had what my surgeon said, just a run of bad luck.
Hmm.
I have three kids. I was working full time, like life was great. And then all of a sudden, like, hey, you've got stage 4 breast cancer and life is really going to change.
Yeah. So, so you were diagnosed, and you're currently still in treatment and
Yes.
metastatic. So, for those who don't know what metastatic means, that means that it's progressed. So have they determined where else it is?
Yes. In February of 2021, I had like a full body scan and it was in my lungs, multiple bones, and then I have a little brain tumor named Fred who's just kind of hanging out up there, not causing any havoc. So we're leaving Fred alone for right now.
We won't speak of
Uh,
Fred. Fred needs to be nice.
yeah, yeah.
So how old are your children?
As of right now, they are 17, 16, and one will be 13 next week.
Wow, so that's all
Yeah.
kind of hormones and teenage fun things.
Yes. All kinds of busy.
Yeah. So what's it like managing your symptoms and your treatments and also managing being a mom and life?
I think managing being a mom and life is way harder than symptom management.
Mhm.
Symptom management, I have a palliative care team that I was really resistant to seeing in the beginning. Now, I have a healthcare background, and my thought was palliative care equals hospice because that was not my wheelhouse. And I learned that that's not the truth. Palliative care does symptom management, they do like pain control, anxiety, like they just wrote me physical therapy. So trying to, manage all of that with managing kids is definitely difficult.
Yeah.
Kids are busy and they're needy. No matter how old they are very needy.
Yeah.
And there's no balance. I don't care what anybody says. I have yet to find a balance between, three kids and their needs. And then, stage 4 cancer is just in and of itself this thing you cannot predict. So
Mhm.
I have yet to find the balance there, but I'm working on it.
Yeah. It's a process. It's a
It is a
daily
huge
process.
process. Yes.
I think managing those age groups without cancer is a process.
Yeah.
I've got 2 children myself that are a little older, so I know that that's a
Yeah.
difficult thing, especially if they play sports and school
Yes.
activities and
All of mine are, in sports. My 17-year-old graduates May 24th.
Mm,
And then she's taken a National Registry EMT class that starts this month.
that's
So,
exciting.
it
Yeah,
is lots of new things, lots of busy.
yeah.
And
My
then I
youngest is
have,
graduating as well, so I know what that
oh, that's
feels like. It's
cool.
bittersweet.
It is. It is. But, when I was first diagnosed, I didn't think I'd be here to see it.
Mm,
So I mean, it is insanely humbling to be able to, like all these milestones that I'm seeing that I did not think I'd be here for. It's great. I mean, I love it. It's expensive, it's busy, it's all the things that you think your daughter graduating is, but then you have this layer of emotion that you don't expect because, when I was diagnosed, they didn't think I'd be here in 4 years.
hmm.
So I'm loving it.
I guess you are. Well, tell me a
Yes.
little bit about your diagnosis. How did you find the cancer being so
So
young?
I actually, in 2006, found a lump. Same 11 o'clock position. I went to the doctor. They completely dismissed me. You're too young. Definitely not cancer. They said it was a fibroadenoma, and they explained, it's a less than 1% chance that will ever turn to cancer. And I was like, okay, cool, we're good. Fast forward, after I was done breastfeeding, I went back and I said, hey, this lump is still here and it hurts. They're like, you just got done breastfeeding. It's just mastitis. Same thing I know so many other women have heard. So I let it go for another 2 years. They said, come back in 2 years. In that time, the lump had changed from like palpable, soft, felt like a pea to a literal mountaintop. It had a ridge, and my breast had started to turn pink. It had some edema. So I went to my doctor. My doctor was out sick. It was right in the middle of COVID. So the doctor was sick. Then I got COVID, and then I was out. When I went to go back, the doctor had gotten sick again. I mean, it was like this snowball effect. But finally, I had the biopsy and I had to go alone. And they did the biopsy. No, I had the ultrasound first. Sorry. One of the things that I haven't recovered from is chemo brain.
It's real.
It is real. But I ended up having the mammogram and ultrasound that day. And then the tech came and sat me down and she's like, "Hey, we want the doctor to review this before you leave." And I was like, "Okay, that is not great." The doctor called me at 6:45 that night and said, "I bumped a couple patients. I need you here at 7:45 in the morning for a biopsy." She wouldn't tell
Wow.
me anything else. Um, so I went in, had the biopsy, and she came in and after, she'd done the biopsy and I got dressed. And she said, "Do you have anybody you can call?" I'm like, "Why do I need to call somebody? Like, I'm fine."
Yeah.
And she said, "We need to talk about how this looks." And I was like, "All right, we'll talk." Like, I'm very direct. I don't, didn't need her to hold my hand. And she said, "You really need to call somebody." And at that point, I was a little alarmed. I called my best friend because my husband was out of town and driving home. And the doctor flat out said, "I've been doing this 30 years. And I am 99.9% sure this is cancer and it's spread." She said, "It's definitely in your lymph nodes. So I'm going to call and see how fast we can get this done." So fast forward to Sunday, and I get a call from the nurse practitioner that I worked with who said, "Jen, we got to talk." He was on vacation
Mhm.
out of the country. He saw my stuff come in and called and said, "Hey, we got to talk. Your biopsy came back positive for cancer." And I was
Oh,
like,
wow.
"Okay, all right, what are we dealing with?" He was like, "Well, it's not great." I actually had three, they call them interspiculated, where they're all connected, three connected tumors with two different subtypes. So my primary subtype is triple positive, and
Uh-huh.
then my other subtype was estrogen positive, progesterone negative, and HER2 negative.
How
So
weird.
welcome to my life.
Yeah.
That is just how it
You are
goes.
complicated. That is
I am.
unreal.
Yeah. So that is how all that happened. And I happened to work with the surgeon that I wanted to do my surgery. So I called my boss before I left the breast care center. And, I was mostly okay
Mhm.
until I got to my car and had to call her and for the first time say out loud, like, "I actually have breast cancer."
Yeah.
She was just taken out of work for MS. So, not the same, but she really understood what I was going through. And so she made all the phone calls for me. She lined up my surgeon, she lined up my oncologist that I picked, and I was supposed to have an appointment within a week. Of course, COVID derailed everything. But yeah, that's kind of how that happened.
So my immediate thought is, was this doctor the same one that had dismissed you all those years prior?
No. No, it is not. He is currently retired, and I actually did get an apology from him, wholehearted apology, when I went in for my last visit right before I had a hysterectomy. I was
Yeah.
seeing a different provider at that time, and he came in and just gave me the best apology I think I've ever had from anybody.
Well, that's gotta feel good, but it doesn't change the fact that your battle could have been a little different
Yes.
had he listened to you.
Yeah.
I hear that in doing these stories. I hear that, unfortunately, all too often because of your age and being young. These older doctors, especially, really are dismissing a lot of young ladies. And we know,
Yeah.
with your current battle and all the ladies we've met at the Young Survivor Coalition, that we've got to change that
Right.
thinking, that mindset,
Yes.
that's so old school and things are changing. And they're the ones that are doing the research on the science that's ever changing. So why are they not aware? So I'm sorry
Yes.
that that happened to you, but I'm so glad to hear that you did at least let him know and that he
Yeah.
apologized.
Yeah.
That helps. So you've got your diagnosis. Tell me what your surgeries looked like.
So normally with stage 4, they tell you you don't get surgery. But because of my age and just how fast it was spreading, my surgeon always wanted me to be a candidate. They took it to the tumor board and they agreed. So I did neoadjunct chemo. I had 6 or 7 rounds of chemo. And then in September of 21, I had the bilateral mastectomy with my brain starts to just not work. Sentinel node biopsy on this side. They took out 27 lymph nodes on my left, 6 on my right. And in the middle of all of this, my gallbladder decided to go bad.
Oh, of
So,
course, just for
yeah,
fun's
why
sake.
not? Yeah. So I had my gallbladder out. I was neutropenic. I was super sick, but that came out. And actually, I felt better after all that. And I did chose not to do reconstruction. I hate anesthesia as much as it hates me. I just don't do well with it. And they said it would be, between 5 and 8 hours longer if I did reconstruction. And I was like, I don't need that.
Yeah.
So I stayed flat and, I'm shaped like a Pooh Bear and I am okay with it. I don't mind.
Beautiful as a Pooh Bear.
Pooh is cute.
Pooh is cute. That's a big decision though, but I think that it's a valid decision. So you've had a hysterectomy now as well?
Yes. Total hysterectomy. Yeah. And that
And so are
was,
you taking go ahead.
oh, I was just going to say that was something I was not prepared for. I thought menopause with the medicine was bad, but you know, medical menopause was it was rough.
I'm right there with you. I had one as well, and them night sweats and them hot flashes are real, they
Yeah.
be flashing.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like if my oven turns on at night when I'm sleeping and my husband's, "Hey, you're, like, hot to touch," and I'm like, "I don't know." So, uh, how has it affected your family at all? Has it affected your marriage or your family? Do you wanna dive into that at all?
Yeah, we can. Because I know I'm not alone in this. And it's not something that's like super comfortable to talk about.
No.
Cancer just affects every aspect of your life, especially, when it's stage 4 and it's in your face every day. It affected us financially, obviously.
Yes.
My husband and I did separate. It's just a lot. Like my kids are in counseling. I'm in counseling. I think counseling is
Good.
wonderful.
It is.
But yeah, I mean, it affected everybody.
So do you still have a community that you can turn to?
I have a great network of friends who we have a group of cancer friends who they get it, they understand, and there's nothing that I can say to them that would offend them or hurt them because they're living this. But I think until you live this and you understand, like, yeah, just because somebody has hair and you're able to get up and put makeup on, it doesn't change how you feel on the inside. Bone pain is excruciating. All these side effects that you have, I don't think people realize. We have a very small network of people. Like our church is phenomenal, but I don't want to wear out my cancer friends because they're going through the same thing. And I don't want to, every 21 days is a lot to ask somebody for a ride.
Yeah.
So
Does your hospital have a ride share program? My little town here, we do.
we do not. We're in a fairly we're in a small town.
I can't say it either.
So like I don't even know if Uber comes to my house.
Mhm.
And we don't have like a taxi that comes as far as I'm aware of. And I don't have insurance that'll pay for like rides or anything like that.
That's
So
tough. That's one of the hardest things, and I think that that does need to be talked about more. When I first started the channel, I had my best friend do an episode with me, and we just kinda talked about what does it look like to be a friend through cancer,
yes.
because I think a lot of people can't handle it, because they're I think maybe it's protection because 'cause they're scared of losing you, and they don't really know what to say, and they can't make it better, and they can only do so much, and
Mhm.
then they just kinda quit. But then that's the worst thing because you are in a time where you need people to dive in and kinda
Right.
depend on and lean on. It's a tough balance with adults and adulting and, responsibility, making time
Right.
for our friends and making sure they're okay, but then also being the cancer patient on the other side of that and feeling lonely and forgotten about and,
Right.
just kind of always feeling needy when women are so strong and independent, and you're like, "But
Right.
I need."
Yes.
And it's okay to need, and it's okay to ask too. So hopefully you know, hopefully your friends will never get tired of you needing because they all need as well.
True. I mean, my best friend lives in DC, which is about 3 hours from here, and if I need her, I can call and say, "I need you," and she'll be at my door in 3 hours.
Yeah, that's important. You
She
need
came to
somebody.
the YSC convention with me.
Okay, well, then I met her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
That's my
awesome.
person.
That's your person. Everybody's gotta have a person.
Oh, yeah.
Well, so what kind of effects did it have on your kids? I mean, have they openly spoken to you about their how they're processing?
They have. My son, not so much, but my daughters are fairly open about it, and, my 13 almost 13-year-old has talked about how, she's scared and worried about what's gonna happen because it is uncertain.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my 17-year-old talks all the time, so she's very, very open and very, communicative with, whatever I ask or whatever she's feeling.
Yeah. Well, I'm so proud of you for even putting them in counseling and thinking of their emotional needs as you're going through your own battles and having your own emotional needs, and so good on you for being in counseling too. It's one of the best things you could do for your family, truly.
I agree.
I've spoken of it a few times on some older episodes, but, when I got diagnosed, I was, stage 2. But unfortunately, in our family, cancer does mean death. We've lost many family members, and I didn't feel like I was going to die. And I was very open with my diagnosis with my kids. My daughter was in 8th grade at the time, and my son was in 9th grade. And he's a boy; he didn't talk a whole lot, but he had a best friend whose mom had a very similar diagnosis. And he just recently shared with me that he was okay because his best friend's mom had gone through what I'd gone through and she lived, and hers was a little worse
Uh,
than mine. So hers was worse than mine, and he was like, "And she was okay." So I kinda felt like, "You were gonna be okay?" And I was
right.
like, "Okay, I mean, that's valid." And then
Yeah.
but my daughter put on this brave face for me and, helped me all through my treatments and would, make sure I had whatever I needed and whatnot when I was getting my chemo, but she actually ended up turning to substance abuse
Uh,
during that time.
mhm.
Never saw that coming. It was
Right.
so hard. She was unfortunately, we were very involved in our church, and she was getting most of it from her best friend at church. So I was doing all the things that I thought that we should be doing, and it
Right.
blindsided me. I did not see it coming, and I wasn't really looking because I was so focused on my own battle, but she was always so, and I didn't expect it. So that rocked our worlds, and so I like talking about the family dynamic because it is so important. I mean,
Right.
especially with a metastatic, diagnosis, even though we know that you're doing
Right.
great and you're still here. I met a lady at the YSC who was a 30-year survivor, metastatic,
Wow.
30, 30. So I was like, "That's amazing. That gives so much hope," and, like, that's amazing. So with doctors and surgeries, they can maintain for so, so long, so it does give hope, but there is still just a level that I can't imagine what that feels like because you do have to fight every day, and you are still doing all the life things that are required of you, so, yeah, cancer does a wreck on finances, on marriage, everything, so, I mean, you don't have to talk on it, but going through a divorce, going through all this, I can only imagine how hard that's been.
It has been something.
Yeah.
It's not widely known that we're separated. And actually, he's getting ready to have open heart surgery on May 6th.
Oh my
So there's a
goodness.
whole, another level of, I don't know if I should say the word I'm thinking, but there's just a whole another level of stress added in
Yes.
with all of this.
Yeah.
So, we do the best we can. And,
Yeah.
we've been together almost 20 years. So we'll always take care of each other.
Yeah.
But,
It's important. And you're always stuck together because 'cause you've got this beautiful family together.
right. Yep.
Yeah. Well, so what does the future look like as far as long-term care and maintaining?
For right now, I'm going to continue doing the Herceptin. I do that every 21 days. I take a hormone blocking pill, and I'll just do that as long as my heart can take it or until something pops up and we have to treat it.
And with the lungs and the other.
Yeah, clear. My first scan after chemo was in September, my PET scan,
Mhm.
September of 21, and I had no evidence of active disease, and I have remained mostly stable. There's been a couple things that pop up, but nothing that is large enough to treat or
That's incredible.
biopsy.
Yeah.
It has been wonderful.
Yeah, that's amazing. I know that feels good.
It does. It's also terrifying on the other hand because you know you're just one scan away from life completely flipping upside down again, and, like, I like this normalcy, but I know one day my doctor's gonna call and go, "Hey."
So how has
So,
that impacted how you're living? Has it made any changes to the way you live day to day?
it has. I used to be a little more uptight and irritable, and granted, I'm irritable now, but it's because of the menopause. It's
Yeah.
not, like, my personality. I try to live each day like it's my last. If I want to do something, I'm gonna try my best to do it.
Yeah.
I'm really heavy on the I love yous and the I miss you, like, be safe, be careful with especially with my kids, like, every time my daughter leaves, I'm like, "Alright, be careful, call me when you get there, let me know you're okay." That kinda stuff, like, you just don't know. It's made me realize that as hard as this is, there's always a silver lining to it, like and sometimes you just have to fight to find it,
Yeah.
but there's always been something throughout this whole thing to be grateful for. Most of the time, it's my kids.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's something worth living for right there.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So, any advice that you would give to someone else who's gotten the diagnosis that you've faced?
I would say reach out and don't panic. Like, I immediately was like, okay, I need to sign a DNR. I need to do this. I need to do that. Like, I'm going to die. I need to call the funeral home. Like, it was worst case scenario, 0 to 100 before I even really had a plan in place. Oh, I mean, before I had a plan in place, it was terrifying because I didn't know what was going to happen. So I went 0 to 100. I would not recommend doing that. Listen to your doctor. If you don't like what your doctor says, find another one. There is always another opinion. Really find what's going to work for you. But like the not keeping it in and not going crazy, which is really hard to do, especially with the metastatic diagnosis. Because if you Google, don't Google, but if you do Google, it is terrifying. But I had a friend of a friend who was also metastatic, and she actually called me that night. She actually called me that night and she said, "Your story is not going to be my story." And that stuck with me. And, our stories are very similar, but she has been no active disease, I want to say like 12 or 14 years.
Wow.
Think I said that right. Or not on treatment for that long. And she's doing really well.
Good.
So, like, finding a network of people that understand, don't freak out, don't Google. Be like
Mm.
me, don't Google. And then, be prepared to wait because it's not a quick thing. And that's one of the things that I've found a lot of new people when they're diagnosed. They get diagnosed and they're like, I'm waiting. Like, I don't want to wait. What if it gets worse? Which is, it's a scary thought, but there has to be things that are planned. You have to plan if you want to get a port, plan your scans, plan your treatment, and then you
Yeah.
wait.
Yeah.
And
It
waiting
was
is
a lot of
horrible.
hurry up and wait.
Yeah.
Hurry up and wait. Hurry up and wait.
Yes. Yes. And then once it does start, like I know for me, once I started, it was like 7 treatments went by really fast, mostly because I was so sick. I don't remember any of it.
Yeah.
But once the ball started rolling, it did move quickly.
Yeah. Once they get everything going, I agree. Yeah, I think we think that we don't have time, because we hear this word cancer, but we in fact do have time to stop and
Mhm.
think and reevaluate and get second opinions,
Yes.
all these things. And I think that it does feel a little rushed when you first hear those words because you just want to get the answers and get it all taken care of. And that's just not the reality of it. So that's good advice. Yeah. Well, I think that You look good, and I know you're still in active treatment, and you've come a long way already, and big milestones coming with the kids. And I
Yes,
know that, big things like graduation probably feel even more precious and special.
absolutely.
Yeah. So have you ever like written down your reasons to fight, like your whys? You know, that's
Um,
important to do.
when I was first diagnosed, I went out and bought journals for my kids. And like I said, I didn't think I'd still be here 4 years later. And I wrote down my reasons why. I wrote down, how special they are to me and like my favorite memories with them and, little snippets of things that I wanted them to know about me that like maybe I hadn't told them. So for me, writing down things was very cathartic. Getting it out, seeing it on paper, and just knowing that like when I am gone, they'll have these tangible things where they can go, look, on this day, mom was like, I don't want to cook dinner. We're going to order pizza. But also, did you know? And a little fact about me and a little fact about like them growing up and how much I love them and how proud of them I am.
That's a really good thing to do.
I think everybody should do it, cancer or not. It's been
Did
really
you
wonderful.
Have you journaled about your experience and your day to day, like mentally and what it's like, kind of having this daily mental.
So I did at first. And then as things got, I don't want to say easier, less hard,
Mhm.
I kind of stepped away from it. And if I'm having a hard day, I will go back to it. Like I have an online journal. So I will go back and type in that. And usually when I do, I end up with like 6 pages. And I was like, maybe you should do this more often because it is helpful. It's
It
helpful to
is.
get it out and see it, even if nobody else ever knows.
Yeah, it really truly is. Um, well, that's really good advice too. My daughter and I both got into counseling after our stuff, and we both kind of did some journaling and talking things through. And thankfully,
Mhm.
she's fine and
Good,
got her life back on track. And it was
good.
about a year and a half of just craziness, and not really knowing how that was going to turn out. But counseling is one of the best things you can do. I'm a
Hmm.
huge fan. A lot of people of faith, Christians, put like a poo poo on it, like, oh, just pray it away. And that's not real life. Like, that's not real life. I actually went to a support group in my little town for oncology, and one of the ladies putting on the support group was an actual counselor for oncologist patients or
Ah,
oncology patients. And so I sought her out because of my fear of reoccurrence, because
mhm,
in doing the channel and hearing beautiful stories like yourself and trying to get as much information out there and, just inspiring people to fight and be your own advocate and how to fight, what's going to look like. I just was always putting it on myself because,
mhm.
I'm so, loving and caring and just want to fix all the things. So I sought out counseling for myself because I was just constantly thinking about reoccurrence and it's hard
Mhm.
not to.
It is.
It's hard not
It
to.
is.
So it's, with the metastatic diagnosis, I know that you're just every day is a battle. So I'm proud of you for sharing your story and being
Thank you.
real about it because I know that it's
Thank you.
not easy.
It's not, but the one thing that I have learned is what is that saying? You keep what you have by giving it away. And I want people to know that you can have metastatic disease and still live your life. Like, yeah, there's going to come a point where, you have to make really hard decisions and things, they don't get better. But when they are good,
Yeah.
live your life.
Yes. That's good advice. Well, anything else you would like to say about your beautiful story?
I don't know. I don't know. I will say, and I don't know if you want to include this just as a side note, we did a trip with Leslie's Week,
Mhm.
which is for stage 4 women and their families. And it's in Tennessee at Dollywood. And that was probably the most profound experience I have had since I got sick. Uh, I think it was 12 or 14 of us. And on the way there, I'm like, this is going to be stupid. I don't want to go. And we got there and it was amazing.
Wow.
It was great. There were women like, that's the first time I'd ever talked to a lot of stage 4 women. And to hear that they understood how I felt and what I was going through and how my kids felt and all of that was great, and they spoiled us all week. We got to go to Dollywood, and it was very nice. I would encourage anybody who's stage 4, take that trip. That was good.
Okay. That's good. That's yeah, absolutely, and you make connections. Have you kept in touch with any of the people that you met there?
Yeah, we have a group chat,
Yeah.
so we'll talk. It's not cookie cutter, it's not perfect. The dog yaps, the kids yap, it
Yeah.
is what it is.
It's life,
Yeah.
and it's beautiful.
Yes, it is, and I am so thankful to be here.
Yeah, and you've got a lot of life left in you, I do believe.
I
But isn't
hope
that
so.
crazy? That lady from YSC for 30 years being a metastatic survivor, I was
Yeah,
like, "That's amazing."
it
She
is,
was
it really
probably
is.
I would say she was close to 60, so she'd had it since her 30s, so
That's
yeah.
insane. I mean, that's wonderful.
Yeah. Well, I pray
I might have heard that, but my memory is so bad I don't without seeing a picture, I wouldn't. It is what it is. Great weekend.
it was a great weekend. I really
Yeah,
loved it. I wanna go to all of them. I think the next one I'll go to as a participant instead of a vendor maybe, but
that'd be
the
cool.
vendor side was great. I mean, I got everybody to sign up and it was so nice, but I
Mhm.
wanna hear the speakers and, go to the parties and all that good stuff too, so,
Right. And you
yeah.
should. You should.
Yes, because it looks like a great time, but I was so exhausted by the end of the day, I was like, "I'm not. I have no party in me."
Yeah, that's very much how I was. We got home and I slept, I mean, basically for 2 days because we went it was
Mhm.
nonstop.
Yeah. They put a lot of stuff into that, so it was
They
a good
did,
time.
yeah.
Well, to summarize everything, I think your story is beautiful, and I thank you
Thank
for
you.
sharing and being open and honest about the struggles, and you're encouraging and inspirational because you're fighting so well and have such a good outlook on it, so,
Thank you.
thank you so much for taking the time to tell us your story.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Well, we will have another episode soon. You guys take care. If you have any questions for Jen, just feel free to put them in the message below and we'll connect. All right. Y'all take care and we'll see you next time.